What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about Elektra by Jennifer Saint. So before this, I read Ariadne, which I really loved that story. Overall, though, I was kind of wishing it was more of a narrative rather than kind of like a straightforward telling of the story. And largely that is, again, my critique with Elektra. So I actually didn't know the story of Elektra. She is the daughter of Agamemnon. He was one of like the main players in like the war with Troy, you know, Helen of Troy, Paris, all of that. And she is very fiercely loyal to him. And what's uncovered here is kind of like a family curse within his like family tree, because they were once the rulers of Mycenae, but then somebody came in and usurped them, but the children were left alive, so the children came back in, they usurped the usurper, but the child was left alive, so he leaves and then he comes back, and the cycle is just never ending. So Agamemnon's wife, Clytemnestra, I am so glad I listened to this book, I never would have been able to pronounce that. She's very cued into this, and she kind of feels like she was tricked into this marriage, she didn't know what was coming, she kind of feels like Agamemnon isn't somebody who she thought he was. So right off the bat, her and her daughter are very much at odds within this story. The other main character in this is Cassandra. She is one of Apollo's oracles, and I love her story, but it doesn't fit at all with Elektra and Clytemnestra, so it felt a little bit weird to switch to her perspective because she was just so on the outside of like this struggle with Agamemnon. Like obviously she comes in a little bit later and it makes sense, but then she's gone again very quickly. So like I kind of found myself wishing that it was just our two main characters and then maybe like not done Cassandra, or like have her own story at some other time, or if the other main characters could have been Helen, because then you still would have gotten that inside look at Troy while still being very much wrapped in with the family drama. This book spans the entire length of the Trojan War, which takes about 10 years. So naturally you hear about Achilles, you hear about Patroclus, you hear about Odysseus. So like if you've been reading Madeline Miller or other Jennifer Saint, like it all feels very connected and very cohesive, and that's because it is. But overall, like once again, I was wishing that this story was telling more of a story. Like I found myself identifying out of everybody with Cassandra. I really liked her story, but it was so removed from the family drama with Agamemnon that it almost felt like I was reading a different book, because she's cursed with foresight. She knows what's going to happen with the Trojan War, and of course nobody believes her. And ultimately her end felt really hollow to me, which is how it happens in the original telling, but it just lands kind of flat in a book like this. And then when it came to Elektra and Clytemnestra, I think we were supposed to be rooting for Elektra. However, I couldn't help but sympathize with Clytemnestra and just her struggles and her wants for her children, like her wants for revenge, and just like, you know, I'm naturally gonna believe her. Like she's a mad woman, go off queen. They're burning all the witches even if you aren't one. And I'd go back to Elektra, and it's like, if you guys could just talk to each other, I think you would come around to see her side of the story. So ultimately, like while reading this book, it was sitting pretty much at 3 stars. I think I'm gonna end up giving it like a B-, because it's not bad, and it is like the telling, this is the way that it's told in the original myth, like this is just a straightforward telling, but I did find myself wishing that it had a little bit more of a narrative twist to it. I wish I felt more connected with the character. Like once again, I feel myself longing for the vibes that like the Witch's Heart or Circe gave me, and that's just not quite what I'm getting with Jennifer Saint. So overall, I think I did like Ariadne better, but that's because it was a more cohesive story with Ariadne and her sister, whereas with this, if it had just been about Elektra and her mother, I think it would have been a little bit tighter, but adding Cassandra in and having that side of the story, in my opinion, be more interesting, and then having it not weigh that much on the other part of the story, it just felt a little bit weird. I think if we could have had the story told from Helen, who is, you know, like the sister of Clytemnestra, she's the one who's stolen, like I would have loved to see her perspective, because as it was, she felt a little like, you know, Mean Girls Don't Get a Perspective kind of a vibe, and I was really wanting to know what was going on with her side of the story. So like I said, I'm giving this book a B-. I don't think it was bad by any means. I think it was really well done, but I did find myself kind of just like ready to get to the end of it as I was moving through the story. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to Talk Books with me every week. That's everything I got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!